Stunning colors that make men instantly notice women over 60. She doesn't trip, she doesn't stumble, she simply exists, without being seen. At 35, she turned heads. At 45, she commanded respect. But at 65, she might as well be part of the wallpaper, not because she's faded, but because the world has slowly, silently turned its eyes away, and no one tells you when it happens. No one says, this is the day you'll stop being noticed. It just slips in, like an invisible cloak draped over your shoulders, one made of age, assumption, and society's short memory. But here's what no one tells you: the cloak isn't real, it's stitched from illusion, woven by a culture that confuses youth with beauty, and overlooks the radiant, complex power that comes after. Let me tell you a story. Her name is Margaret. At 67, she looked into her closet and saw only shades of gray, muted browns, lifeless blacks, clothes that whispered, "Don't look at me." Once, she wore color, scarlet reds, daring blues, back when she still believed she had permission to shine, but somewhere along the way, she began to shrink, not in spirit, but in visibility, as if she owed the world her silence, until one day, something shifted. She found an old scarf, silk, crimson, tucked in the back of a drawer. She wrapped it around her neck before going to the market. That day, 3 strangers smiled at her. One man opened the door with a nod and said, "You look lovely today." She laughed. Not because of him, but because for the first time in years, she saw herself again. That wasn't a magic scarf, that was a woman remembering she never stopped being remarkable. You see, the world reflects what we declare, and if we dress like we're hiding, if we speak like we're apologizing, if we believe we're too old to be beautiful, then yes, we'll start to disappear. But if we change one small thing, one color, one tone, one decision to be visible again, we begin to tear that invisible cloak at the seams. This isn't about vanity, it's about vitality. It's about reclaiming the power to be seen, to be heard, to be remembered, and sometimes that starts with the color you wear. In the chapters to come, we'll explore those colors, the ones that don't just flatter your skin, but ignite your presence, colors that turn a quiet step into a graceful entrance, colors that make people pause, not because you're young, but because you are undeniably alive. So, if you've ever felt overlooked, if you've ever wondered when the world stopped noticing, know this: it's not too late to be unforgettable, not because you've returned to who you once were, but because you've finally become who you were always meant to be. What if I told you that color isn't just seen, it's felt, that when you wear red, it's not just fashion, it's a neurological event. Your choice of color speaks directly to the most ancient part of the human brain, the part that decides in less than a second whether someone is drawn to you, or forgets you. Let's break the illusion. We don't see people the way we think we do, we feel them, we sense their energy. And that energy is shaped by color, because color changes the way we are perceived before we even speak. Inside your brain is something called the amygdala, the emotional command center. When you look at someone, or someone looks at you, this little almond-shaped structure lights up, processing fear, desire, memory, and attraction. Now listen closely. Colors like red, coral, and gold trigger excitement. They stimulate the amygdala. They raise attention, even heart rate. In short, they whisper, "Look here." It's not manipulation, it's biology. It's how we were wired long before the first mirror ever existed. But here's the catch: after 60, many women are told to tone it down, to stick to beige, charcoal, taupe, colors that suppress, not express. And what does the brain do with those? It moves on, it looks past, because in a world overloaded with information, the human mind is trained to notice what pops. Let me tell you something even more fascinating. As we age, our skin tone shifts, melanin production slows, natural rosiness fades, and so the colors that once looked good on us at 30, can suddenly make us appear tired at 65. But there's good news: the right color doesn't just flatter your skin, it brings back light to your face, it returns focus to your eyes, it revives your presence, like relighting a flame. Let me share a moment with you. A patient of mine, Maria, 71 years old, came into my clinic wearing a pale olive blouse. she looked exhausted. Her eyes seemed sunken. I asked her to try something. We held up a deep raspberry scarf to her neck. In seconds, her skin looked warmer, her cheeks lifted, her eyes sparkled. She laughed and said, "I haven't seen that version of me in 10 years." It wasn't makeup, it wasn't magic, it was science meeting self-love. That's the beauty of color. It bypasses language, it speaks straight to the subconscious, it tells people how to feel around you: excited, calmed, inspired, intrigued, and most importantly, it tells you how to feel about yourself, because when you wear the right color, the one that reflects your spirit, your essence, your wisdom, you stand taller, you speak clearer, you remember that you are still powerful. So no, this isn't just about clothes, this is about psychology, about chemistry, about restoring your visibility through the language of the mind. And now that you understand why color matters, there are 3 colors that have outlived every fashion trend, 3 shades that don't just look beautiful on older women, they radiate power, they don't scream, they whisper, with confidence, elegance, and something even deeper: life. Let's start with the queen of all color, red. But not just any red, we're talking deep red. Think wine, ruby, garnet. This isn't the fiery red of fast cars and reckless nights. This is the wise red. The color of women who've lived, loved, lost, and bloomed again. When a woman over 60 wears red, she doesn't look like she's chasing attention, she looks like she owns it. It taps into the primal part of the male brain. Red stimulates testosterone. It triggers energy, focus, even respect. But more than that, it's a mirror. Red reflects inner warmth, vitality, and strength. Even if you don't feel bold that day, red helps you remember that you are. Now let's shift gently. Coral, the color of gentle power. Coral is like a sunrise on your skin. It carries whispers of orange, pink, and summer memories. It's playful, yet grounded. It's cheerful, without being childish. For women whose skin has lost some of its natural warmth, coral restores glow, it softens lines, it lifts shadows, and it brings a lightness to the face that no highlighter ever could. And here's the secret: men often associate coral with kindness, openness, and calm. It says, "Come closer." Without saying a word, it's the smile of a woman who's been through storms, and still chooses joy, now. Let's go deeper. Berry, the hidden gem. Berry tones, plum, raspberry, mulberry, are often overlooked, but they are among the most flattering colors for mature women. Why? Because they sit right between bold and soft. They're rich without being loud, dramatic, yet graceful. Berry shades harmonize with graying or silver hair like poetry. They echo the depth in your eyes. They bring color to lips, even if you wear no lipstick at all. And when paired with a smile, they tell a story of mystery, experience, and quiet allure. Let me share a quick story. There's a woman named Evelyn, age 74. A retired librarian, gentle soul, always wore navy and beige, until one day, her granddaughter gifted her a berry-colored shawl. She hesitated. Too loud, she said, but she wore it to brunch. That day, 4 different people complimented her, even her ex-husband. Seated a table away, stood up and said, "You look radiant." Evelyn didn't say much, she just smiled, like a woman who had finally been seen. That's the magic of these colors. They don't change who you are, they reflect who you've always been, and remind the world to look again. Red says, "I'm alive." Coral says, "I'm warm." Berry says, "I'm unforgettable." And when you wear these with intention, you don't just look stunning, you feel centered, magnetic, and whole. Sometimes, the most powerful statement is made in a whisper. While the world often rushes to color, bold reds, fiery golds, electric blues, there's a quiet revolution that happens when a woman over 60 wears something pale, soft, and radiant. I'm talking about white, ivory, and champagne. They are not just neutrals, they are reflections of light, and when worn by a woman with experience, they become symbols of grace, wisdom, and unapologetic presence. Let's begin with white, the color of commanding simplicity. White is misunderstood. It's not bland, It's not boring. In fact, white is one of the most dramatic colors you can wear, because it allows you to shine. White doesn't compete, it highlights your posture, it amplifies your gestures, it frames your silver hair like a halo, it says, I don't need to shout to be seen. Psychologically, white represents clarity, new beginnings, purity of thought, and when worn by a woman over 60, it radiates self-knowledge, a kind of quiet power that turns heads without trying. Now let's soften the tone. Ivory, the color of timeless femininity. Ivory is white's more romantic sister. It carries the softness of candlelight, the nostalgia of antique lace. It flatters mature skin tones in a way stark white cannot. Ivory adds warmth where white may wash out. It doesn't just look good. It feels safe, elegant, approachable. Imagine a woman in her late 60s entering a room in a flowing ivory blouse, paired with a soft gold pendant resting at her collarbone. She doesn't need attention, she commands presence. Ivory is the color of a woman who knows when to speak, and when silence speaks louder. Now let's add a touch of celebration. Champagne, the color of celebration without noise. Champagne sparkles, but not in a glittery, flashy way. It glows. It's the perfect blend of sophistication and warmth. Not quite gold, not quite beige, it lives somewhere between elegance and intimacy. Champagne looks stunning on women with warm undertones, and even more breathtaking against silver or snow white. Hair, it's the color of confidence wrapped in kindness, of a woman who has earned her peace, and wears her softness like armor. Let me share a quick story. Jacqueline, 68, wore a champagne wrap to her son's wedding. Nothing fancy. No rhinestones, just clean lines, soft sheen, and her natural hair in a simple bun. That day, she wasn't just the mother of the groom, she was the woman every guest turned to when she walked in. One younger woman whispered, "That's how I want to age." And Jacqueline, she simply smiled, because she didn't dress to impress, she dressed to express ease, elegance, and earned beauty. Let's pause here. These colors, white, ivory, champagne, are not just safe options, they are intentional choices. They say, I'm not hiding. I'm not chasing trends. I've become the woman I used to admire. When you wear them, you step into a frequency of refined magnetism. You don't just look youthful, you look elevated, and in a world full of noise and neon, sometimes the softest light is the one that draws us in the most. Some colors uplift you, others silently pull you down. They don't mean harm, they're not ugly by definition, but when worn by a woman over 60, these colors can wash you out, exaggerate fatigue, and even add invisible years to your appearance, without you realizing it. Let's call them what they are, danger colors. And it's not just about bad taste, it's about alignment. Color must match energy, undertone, and wisdom. If it doesn't, even the most expensive outfit will betray you. Let's begin with the worst. Offender, flat black, the illusion of sophistication. Yes, we know, black is classic. Slimming. Easy, but here's the truth, for many women over 60, flat black is a trap. It absorbs all the light from your face, it deepens shadows under your eyes, it hardens the jawline, and most dangerously, it removes the soft glow that defines graceful aging. Unless it's softened by texture, layered with color, or carefully balanced with makeup, black becomes a cloak of invisibility, not mystery. It doesn't flatter silver hair, it clashes with natural undertones that shift as we age. Want the power of black without the harshness? Try charcoal, soft navy, or deep forest green. Now let's talk about another silent age accelerator, muddy browns and tired taupes. Browns can be beautiful, but not when they turn into mud on your skin. Colors like sludgy taupe, dusty olive, or gray beige often look safe, but in reality, they drain life from your face. They match age spots, they blend into dull complexions, they make healthy skin look faded, and worst of all, they evoke words like tired, bland, invisible. There's nothing wrong with earthy tones, but they need vibrancy, warm cinnamon, golden camel, rich mocha. Yes, but dusty khaki. Dull, ashy grays, the false neutral. Gray seems neutral, safe. Simple, but here's the catch, not all grays are created equal. Ashy, cold, blue-toned grays can make your complexion look pale, sallow, or gray itself, especially for women with warm or golden undertones. Instead of looking wise and chic, you may look like you've just recovered from the flu. If you love gray, opt for pearl gray, silver gray, or even dove gray, tones with light and warmth that harmonize, not clash. And finally, faded pastels, the sad side of soft, baby pink. Powder blue. Mint green, these colors might look sweet on a shelf, but on mature skin, they often look faded. They can exaggerate wrinkles, remove contrast from your features, and leave you looking like a washed-out memory of yourself. It's not about rejecting softness. It's about choosing richness within softness. Instead of baby pink, go for rosewood. Instead of mint, try sage. Instead of sky blue, wear French blue. Colors need depth, just like you. Let me tell you a quick story. Helen was 66, stylish, sharp, proud of her independence, but she always wore black, brown, taupe. She said, "These colors are slimming. They're mature." Then one day, she visited a boutique with a color stylist. They draped her in a rich teal blouse. She blinked, looked in the mirror, and gasped. Her eyes looked brighter, her skin glowed. She looked, not younger, more alive. That's when she said, "I thought I was being modest. I was actually disappearing." You don't need to wear neon, you don't need to chase trends, but you do need to protect your light. Don't let colors steal your energy, dull your story, or cloak your beauty. Choose colors that honor your journey, that harmonize with your wisdom, that allow your true essence to rise to the surface. It's not about the color, it's about the conversation between colors. Once you've found the hues that light you up, how do you combine them? How do you create not just an outfit, but a story? You see, after 60, you are no longer dressing to fit in, you are dressing to reflect the woman you've become, and that woman, she is a collection of contrasts, soft, yet strong, grounded, yet radiant, invisible to those who lack depth, but unforgettable to those who truly see. So let's begin. Step 1. Pick your emotional palette. Colors speak emotion. Ask yourself, what do I want to say without words today? Do I want to radiate calm and trust? Try a blend of dove gray and lavender. With silver accents, do I want to feel magnetic and bold? Layer deep teal with burnished gold, and a touch of coral lipstick. Do I want to embody soft elegance? Combine ivory, blush rose, and champagne, a color palette as timeless as moonlight. This isn't fashion, it's language, and when you speak through colors with intent, people listen, even in silence. Step 2. Balance contrast and flow. Too much contrast can overwhelm. Too little makes you fade. The secret, let one color lead. Another support, and a third whisper. Here's a tip from stylists who dress the world's most refined older women. Always have one anchor color, one accent color, and one soft neutral. For example, anchor, navy, trust, depth, accent, soft peach, feminine glow, neutral, pearl white, purity, light. This trio does more than flatter, it tells a story. I'm composed. I'm alive. I'm still full of light. Step 3. Use texture as color. Yes, texture is part of your palette. 2. Silk reflects light, cashmere absorbs it, linen breathes, velvet deepens. So even if you wear all one color, let's say champagne, when it's layered in chiffon, suede, and soft leather, it becomes dimensional, alive, like you. Texture is what transforms simple into soulful. Step 4. Accessorize with meaning. Your accessories are your punctuation marks. A turquoise ring isn't just a pop of color, it's a story, perhaps of travel, healing, strength. A silk scarf in soft magenta wrapped loosely around the neck. It's a whisper of rebellion, femininity, and warmth. Don't over-accessorize, but never forget, one well-placed color on your wrist, ear, or neckline can light up your entire being. It's not about sparkle, it's about essence. A story in color. Clara's awakening. Let me share a moment. Clara, 72, sat in her closet one morning, looking at rows of black and beige. She sighed. I used to love color. But now, I don't know what looks right anymore. That day, her granddaughter gifted her a sage green wrap. It was soft, natural, earthy. Clara hesitated, then draped it over her white blouse. In the mirror, her cheeks warmed, her eyes sparkled. She whispered, "I remember this woman." That single color pulled a memory from the shadows, and brought a piece of her back to life. That's what color can do. It's not about youth, it's about reconnection. You've earned the right to dress with meaning, not for approval, not for attention, but for alignment. Color, at its best, doesn't shout, it sings quietly. To those who are listening, and when you find your song, when your wardrobe harmonizes with your essence, you don't just get noticed, you become magnetic. You've spent a lifetime learning to be seen, but what if, you were never meant to fade into the background? Throughout this journey, we've talked about colors, contrasts, textures, we've learned what to wear, and what to leave behind, but all of this is just the beginning, because underneath all the hues, underneath all the fabrics, lies the truth. You were never meant to fade. Let me repeat that, you were never meant to fade, and your clothes, they are merely the vessel, the mirror. For the radiance you hold inside, the woman you've become, with every passing year, you've accumulated stories, wisdom, and grace. Those years have given you a depth that can never be replicated by anyone else. What does this mean for your style? It means you are the light, you are the spark that others can't help but notice, and your colors, they're just the extension of that inner radiance. You see, aging doesn't strip us of our beauty, it magnifies it. You're not fading into the background, you're stepping into the light you were always meant to shine in, and those soft, muted tones you wore before, they weren't wrong. They just didn't align with the depth of your soul anymore. Now, you are ready to step into your full color, to be seen as you truly are, not a reflection of youth, but a representation of all you've learned, all you've lived through, and all the power you've gained. It's time to be seen, it's time to wear the colors that make you feel alive, to put on the outfit that makes you walk taller, head held high, shoulders back, to wear bold, not because you want to stand out, but because it's your truth. It's time to stop hiding behind the idea that beauty fades with age, and instead embrace the gorgeous wisdom you carry. When you wear your colors, you become a walking, breathing story, one that says, I am still here. I have so much to offer, and I am not just aging. I am thriving. So, whether you wear scarlet, emerald, or deep plum, know this, you are a living work of art, a masterpiece in the making. Final words, let's keep the conversation going. I want you to take a moment and look at yourself in the mirror, not just your reflection, but the woman who's been through the highs and lows, who's learned, who's grown, and who's still here, radiating. Embrace the power you have in choosing colors that represent the woman you've become. You are more than what you wear, but what you wear is an important part of your journey. Before we end today's chapter, I want to hear from you. What colors make you feel the most powerful? What's one color you've been afraid to wear, but are ready to try? Drop a comment below and let's keep this conversation flowing. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because we'll continue exploring how to embrace and celebrate the wisdom and beauty that comes with age. You don't want to miss the next conversation on aging with grace and power.